Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is an Involved review. And my name is James Caleb Kitchens, and I'm here each and every week with Caleb Stovall, the man who consumes more wrestling content than anyone in the known multiverse. Welcome back, Caleb.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's going, man. You've expanded to the multiverse now. I couldn't think of anything bigger than the universe.
You know, like when you say that, all I can hear is Jet Li saying that in the multiverse.
Nice. Well, if I say more wrestling content than anyone, you will probably hear it in Ian Riccaboni's voice.
This is true.
That being said, I want to cover a couple quick things here, and then we're going to get right into it, folks. So this is we've been looking forward to this for a long time. We decided last year that we were going to cover the big AEW pay-per-views because they only do 4, 6, 8 a year, which I love. I really love that because it makes them feel important. Revolution 2020 was one of my favorite pay-per-views. Yeah, I mean, I really loved it. So I was really looking forward to this one. Sting came back. So this is our review of AEW Revolution 2021. We're recording it the Tuesday after, and it's going to go up tonight. So usually our stuff is a few weeks off when we air it. But I'm really excited to have something come out the same night. So as soon as we get done recording here, it's going to go up. So first thing in the morning, it should be up on Facebook, YouTube, and all of the major audio podcasting platforms. Just before we get into it, I do want to note Caleb and I have both, this is not wrestling related, but we've both been following WandaVision. If you've been following that over on Disney Plus, amazing show. I was recently a guest on the Superhero Homies podcast with none other than Superhero Homie Q, who has been on this program several times. He's also on the Power Rangers Go podcast with none other than Caleb Stovall here. So I was able to co-host a little bit on that podcast. We just reviewed the entire season. Go check it out. Highly encourage you. And one more shout out before we get into the meat and potatoes of it. They gave us a shout out this week. I want to give them a shout out at the Tapped Out Wrestling podcast. On their broadcast this week, they were talking about Dark Side of the Ring season 3. And they let all their viewers know that if they want to hear more about Dark Side of the Ring, they should come on over to an Evolved review. So that was an awesome shout out from them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and return that favor. So if you're looking for a weekly breakdown of Georgia indie wrestling, weekly breakdown of WWE, AEW, definitely check them out on Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. You can find them anywhere you can find us, and possibly even a couple of more places. But wanted to get that housekeeping out of the way. Let's talk about AEW Revolution 2021. Before we get into how everything went, Caleb, I want to get your opinion on this. How did you think? I mean, like 1 to 10, what was your excitement going into this pay-per-view? How good did you think it was going to be?
I thought it was going to be pretty good. I mean, I liked what I saw. I think I even messaged you about 2 weeks ago and I said, dude, I don't know if you have seen Dynamite lately, but I just watched one of the best episodes I've seen in a long time, where there was just a bunch of crazy stuff and there was just a lot of really good stuff. And then they had the big Dynamite, the Go Home edition, where they had Shaquille O'Neal on the thing and he went through 2 tables. And I just would like to say, for the record, I am in master control and I can confirm this. That was on every single station, like from Good Morning America to NBC earlier today to ABC this morning and stuff like that, like Good Morning America. Like, it was on everything. Everyone was talking about that. So I think they created a lot of buzz for this pay-per-view.
I agree. I don't know what the buy rate was for it. I'm trying to see if that information is readily available. I don't think it is. I don't think they've released the buy rates yet, but I would imagine, if I had to guess, that buy rate wise, this was probably the highest buy rate in AEW pay per view history. If it wasn't, I would be shocked because on paper, it's an amazing show. And the thing I like about it is it has something for everyone. Now, maybe at times I think they took that a little too far. Maybe the card is a little all over the place. Rest assured here, folks, I am usually very critical of AEW. I am not going to allow this to turn into 2 hours of me Cornette ranting about it. There will be rants. I have pages of notes here that go on and on. I took very detailed notes about this because I didn't want to miss anything, and this was our first time doing one of these. I was excited about it. I paid $50 for it. I haven't paid $50 for a pay per view in 10 years,
I
maybe
thought you
more.
did it for the last Double or Nothing.
Nope, I watched it for free the next day.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well,
Yeah,
I thought there was another one that you did it for.
no, I haven't. I haven't bought one. This is the first time I bought one.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even buy all in. Yeah, none of it.
All right.
I haven't bought a pay per view. The last time I bought a pay per view, it either would have been one of the TNA pay per views or it would have been like a WrestleMania before the network came out. So, um, so yeah, they got. I mean, that's how hyped I was. They got me to spend $50 on it. Um, and I there's going to be some things that I loved on this and some things I hated. We'll start out with one of the things that I loved which was the opening to this pay per view. It wasn't too long, but I love that they were really selling the barbed wire death match main event. They were really selling the risk involved. They were selling the danger of it, and when you have this type of match, and you really want people to understand that this is a big deal and these people could get seriously injured, this is the way to do it. Um, I really like that. I like that JR got his own entrance. Um, but I will say this, man. At the beginning of this show, it got better throughout the night, but JR looked like somebody punched him in the face. Like he looked and sounded awful at the beginning of this broadcast.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was sick
I did
or
that.
what.
Like the minute that he came up on the air, like you could hear the scratchiness in his voice. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what happened. Maybe he was getting sick, or maybe like he blew out his voice somehow. I don't know. Maybe he did it at the Dynamite beforehand.
He was solid red. Like, I mean, he looked out of breath. I mean, he got way better as the night went on, but when he first came out, I mean, he looked terrible. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm not going to talk about the pre-show. I caught a little bit of it. Um, we'll leave that out. So the main card here. So they open. What's that?
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I got a little bit of echo from myself, so I thought you guys said something. They opened the show here with the Young Bucks versus Jericho and MJF. Um, what did you think about the decision to open with this match?
I can see why they did, because if you want to get the people just sucked right into it, I mean it's a pay-per-view, so you want to kind of start off with something hot and heavy. I'm not sure I would have necessarily done it with a title matchup, but if it was going to be a title matchup, it might as well have been this one, just because, if you weren't going to put it here, then you would put it on in the middle of the show, kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe this was just good placement for it. I kind of felt that it was. My problem was it went on a little bit too long.
Yeah, that tends to be a thing with the Bucks matches in general. Jericho can't really go like he used to. I mean, don't get me wrong, he I think he did pretty good here, but I mean, this match was 17, almost 18 minutes, and it could have been done in 12 to 15 easy. I liked that the Bucks like were really like hot right off the rip. The Jericho sing along from the crowd never gets old. I mean, the reverence that the audience still has for him.
So you that.
What's that?
I said, so you like the singing when he comes out?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I don't know. I'm iffy at times, because like I hear it and I'm like, I get it, because we were doing it in Atlanta and stuff like that when we saw him, but like, which was amazing. But then you hear it from like other veterans, let's say, and it's like, why are people singing when he's supposed to be a heel, kind of thing.
Right. Well, I think Jericho is at that status now where I mean the man's basically a legend, you know? I mean, I know he's still actively competing, but so is the Undertaker,
Yeah,
you know? And I mean in his later years, Undertaker did whatever he wanted to. He was never face or heel. People cheered for him and it didn't matter. Um
right.
nobody booed Undertaker against Shawn Michaels. They might have cheered for Shawn instead of him, but nobody was booing Undertaker, you
And
know.
no one booed him against Stone Cold.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so going into that, I like that the Bucks came in hot on this match. That's about so here's where my problems sort of begin with this. The Young
Okay.
Bucks looked bored to me at certain times in this match. And they're kind of supposed to be selling this as almost this, I don't want to say blood feud, right? But the inner circle has been fucking with them for a long time.
And they
Um,
made it personal recently as part of the storyline. They beat up their parents.
right. Yeah,
Well,
so
their father.
so you're trying to get revenge on these
Yeah.
guys, and there were just times in the match where it just looked formulaic. It just looked like they were just there to be there, and I hated that. Um,
Yeah.
I there was a part in the move where I wrote this down. They do this awesome sequence into dual sharpshooters, right? And I put why? Because they didn't hold the sharpshooters in at all. Like Jericho and MJF didn't escape the sharpshooters. They do this cool sequence. They lock these two sharpshooters in the middle of the ring and cinch them in, and then after like 2 seconds, they just let them go. Why lock the guys in the sharpshooter if you're not planning on using like are you trying to win a match or are you not?
And see, I'll admit that's where my problem is a lot of times where it's almost like it's done to showboat for the crowd. Like it's like, this isn't the end, but fuck it, kind of thing. Like I don't know. I don't like that either because it does I see what you're saying. Like when they do stuff like that, it looks like it's looked to be put on a show. There are some moves, though, I want to point out that the Bucks do that. I'm not saying that they are the best tag team by any means. I do not think there is a universe that exists that they are the best tag team in the world. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it.
Right.
But they are good, and the reason why they are good is because they have figured out at some times where they can put in those like high impact, flip moves and stuff like that. But it looks like they are trying to do it in a strategic manner. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I
I
they
do.
still do that in this matchup. But then when they do stuff like that, that's when I understand when people say, like, okay, that's the problem with the Bucks right there. And that's the problem with a lot of matches in
Yeah.
AEW.
There was some good stuff in this, like
Yeah.
towards the end. I mean, Nick hit a really cool combo where he ended it in a slingshot destroyer, which was really good. There was one sequence that was one of the best tag sequences I've seen where they tried to do the hot tag and Jericho just completely flipped it around on them. They thought they were going to set up for the Meltzer driver, but Jericho ends up tombstoning Matt. Nick comes in, gets immediately put in the walls, gets the hot tag out, and Matt immediately gets put right back in the walls.
Yeah.
That sequence was so good, and it was a testament to Jericho being, even though he can't move like he's 30 anymore, he can't move like he's 25 anymore. The man still has all that knowledge from years and years and years of being a veteran. I mean, he's a ring general now. I mean, he's been around. I don't like his creative ideas, but inside those ropes, man, he knows how to put a match together.
Yeah.
Maybe better than anyone right now that's actively doing it.
What's funny to me is that we haven't even mentioned MJF really.
Well, the thing about MJF, I love him. I think
I
he's
do too.
absolutely stellar. But he played second fiddle in this match to an
Yeah.
extent. Jericho was pulling all the strings in this match, and MJF kind of, he was just kind of there. He didn't stand out a ton.
I agree. And I I really wish that like they would just let him be like a single heel. Like I was just like, nah, like he needs to just be by himself.
Yeah, I mean, really, we've talked about this. I would love if we're gonna have a heel champion at the top of the company. I think he would have been a much better choice than Kenny Omega, um, because he's got charisma, he's got talent, he's so easy to hate. With Omega, you have this like legion of fans that think he's the greatest wrestler alive, and then you have about, I would say, 25 times more people than that think he's insanely overrated. Um, right
Yeah.
here. Probably most overrated guy on the planet. So yeah, I mean, one more thing I want to talk about in this tag match. They did botch the shit out of the Meltzer driver here. I feel like if you can't pull the move off every time, maybe that shouldn't be the finish. Uh, it's a cool ass move, but once again, they botched it pretty hard here. I mean, they still recovered it and it still made sense, but they did botch it.
Yeah. I did notice that, but yeah, hey, whatever.
It was not a bad opener. I think the crowd liked it. I don't think it was like this really fast paced match that a lot of people thought it might be, but I'm like, Chris Jericho is over 50. MJF is young and in good shape, but he's not known for these fast paced matches. And like I said,
No.
the Bucks looked bored at points in this match. I don't know if they're just going through the motions or what, but that's what it looked like to me. Um,
They might be, and that's sad if they did.
yeah. Moving on, I want to talk about the tag team royale,
Okay.
casino tag team royale. I wrote it on my notes here as tag clusterfuck. Um, not to say that I hated this whole thing because I didn't. I thought there were aspects of this that were incredible, and I will touch on those quickly. Um, QT ignoring everything. QT Marshall basically saying, I don't care about allegiances, I don't care about honor, I don't care about any of that shit. I'm doing what I have to do to win. I loved that, and I loved that him and Dustin kind of essentially kicked off a feud between each other over it. For a long time now, I've known, like, hey, they're gonna split them up at some point. There's money there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
There is.
I thought the first first of all, I think the idea of a tag team battle royal is dumb, right? But I thought the first half of this was in fact a clusterfuck. The back half, though, I thought was done really well.
I was about to say, like, I thought the ending to this was amazing.
Yeah. Once Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison came out, shout out to both of them. Both of them have been around on the Georgia indie scene. Yeah, Griff Garrison actually spent a lot of time on the Georgia indie scene. I thought everything after like they came out was great,
Yes.
especially once we got down to the final four, which was Jungle Boy by himself, SCU, Phoenix and Pac, and then the two of the Dark Order. Were there like six Dark Order? Wasn't there three different Dark Order teams in this?
I can't remember exactly. No, I thought it was just Silver and I forget the other guy's name.
Grayson,
Yeah,
right?
John Silver and I think Grayson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But there were also like because I'm pretty sure wasn't number five, wasn't Alan Angels in this with another member of the Dark Order?
I
One
think
maybe
I
or
can't
10.
remember. I
Yeah.
can't
Well,
remember.
and that's the thing, right? Is there was so much going on. I mean, this is one of those matches where it's like you're literally just trying to get these people screen time.
Yeah,
You know?
but I thought that the only time I got interested in this match was the ending because I was like, "Whoa, wait, holy shit, this is actually pretty good." And it turned out to be like you said, Phoenix and Pac, and then who I remember was Jungle Boy and Silver.
Yeah.
I think.
And then Ray Phoenix hitting that ridiculous suicide dive. that he hits where he just goes 100 miles an hour. And I don't know how he's not dead from it. I've seen the man do it in person. It is both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. The camera angle that they caught on it didn't even really do it justice at just how insane the man is when he flies through those ropes. I mean, like he would get a speeding ticket in most places. The man is just that fucking fast. Like I don't understand from a physics perspective how he manages to launch himself that distance.
Have I ever showed you the one where he does it in Mexico?
Yep.
And it was what was named one of the worst pay-per-views in like AAA history. And it was like broadcast to everyone, and it had Vampiro and Matt Striker on commentary, which they're good, but they weren't on this night. And like he does the move and he hits like, I don't know who he hit, but he hit like some old lady in the crowd. I think it was like the mayor or like something like that of Mexico. I don't know. Like she had a big title to her. And you just hear Matt Striker, like, because they had just done the whole, oh, that's disrespectful. He comes and does the move and hits it, but ends up kicking the shit out of her. And you just hear Matt Striker just go, oh, shit.
But he hit it in MLW as well. And it
Yeah,
was,
he did. Like
yeah.
he hit it, hits it everywhere. He's done it in like everywhere that he goes. I remember like when we saw him, I was just like, I don't think this guy is human. I
Yeah.
truly do not believe there is something in Phoenix that like it's indescribable. I don't know how he does the things that he does.
Yeah. So next match on the card, and I will admit that when I looked at this card on paper, I said, there are things I really want to see on this card. None of them are the title matches. I thought all of the title matches were going to be bad, and I was right and wrong. The next match, which was Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami, and I am familiar with both of these women. I know that they have done good things in other places. Um, Hell, Shida has had some great matches in AEW. I do not count this one among them. As a matter of fact, the first, I would say half again, the first half of this, I hated. I hated it. Especially when they were doing the machine gun chops in the corner. And
Yeah.
like the other person had taken no damage. And it was very clear that they were just standing there and taking this move. Like, it's like, are you trying to win the match or not? And that's what it comes down to again. It's like, this does not look like a contest. It looks like a poorly done middle school play.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I didn't. I like some of the stuff, but I agree with you. Like when I saw that, it immediately took me out of it. That and the whole really, really fake looking throw her into the crowd kind of thing. Like it was clear that those guys like tried to catch her and they caught her, but she wasn't that strong to them. Like it wasn't like she was that heavy or anything like that to them at least. So like they just kind of like pretended to fall back. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh come on, like all right, and dude, I thought this match was way too long.
Oh God, yeah. It was
I
15 minutes. It felt like 30.
Yeah, like I just like this matchup. There wasn't a lot of stuff, and if you were gonna do the stuff that you did at the end, why'd you make it this long? Like it's just like no, like
I mean, it's like here's the thing, man, and this, I don't want this to sound like I am against like Japanese wrestlers or anything like that because I'm very clearly not. But there's a certain thing that you need to do when you're booking a show for an American audience, and bringing in two people who are famous in Japan to have a match is not something you need to be building your women's division around. I mean, when it comes to the women's division, like AEW is not beating anybody. There's not a single promotion that I can name for you unless it's like somebody on the indies that doesn't even have a women's division that has a worse women's division than AEW. Like Impact is doing way better than them.
Yeah.
NXT's women's division is far and ahead better than them. Now, don't get me wrong, this is hurting them because WWE at this point, they are signing like anybody that's good.
Yeah.
If you're damn good, they're signing you off the indies.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, they had Thunder Rosa on the card. And she's amazing. And when she ran out here, her presence alone saved this whole thing. Vicky Guerrero has more charisma than either one of the people in this match. So I liked the end. I liked that whole deal that they did there at the end, and I'm guessing this is going to lead to like a 6-person tag match or something on Dynamite, maybe. And they'll continue it. But I wrote Dave Meltzer 0 stars for the match itself. I mean, there were parts of it that were good. Don't get me wrong. I really loved their entrances. Both of them came out like they were about to do some cool shit. But then I don't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, my thing was like I like Hikaru Shida. I like her, but I didn't know jack shit about the other girl. And I'm not trying to, discredit Japanese wrestling. I love Japanese wrestling. I love watching New Japan and stuff like that. But like I don't know this woman. And it's like for it to go on this long, it was like, good Lord. And then just all the gaga at the end, it was like, well, that was better. Like this match should not have been that long with that much stuff going on and everything like that. It just, I agree with you. It could have been good. That was the thing. It could have been pretty good. It could have been like a solid 10-minute matchup and it would have been, probably just as good. And then you still could have had all of the gaga in it and it would have made everything better. But I agree with you. If Thunder Rosa is there, why are we not putting her on the card? Is it because that the NWA is fixing to launch and you realize you might not have her anymore? Or, is she free to show up whenever she wants to on Dynamite? Because she's been on Dynamite a lot,
Right.
I thought she was pretty much in AEW.
And if you're going to do this deal with Impact where you're trading talent, right, then get some of their stellar, like, knockouts division.
Like Rosemary.
Like anybody.
Yeah, I agree. Like they have Jordan Gracie down there.
They could
easily sign her.
They could dig up ODB's fucking corpse. And it would have been better than this. I know she's not dead. I'm just saying.
Right now.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I agree. No. I agree.
It is what it is. Anyway, this match fucking sucked. And whoever's booking their women's division, and I've heard that that's Kenny Omega. And that
I don't know exactly what's true, but
would not surprise me one bit. It would explain everything. But let's go on. Let's go on to greener pastures here. So next up, we had Miro and Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford against the Best Friends, which in this case was Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. I guess Trent is injured, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think what's going on, but I can't remember if they put like some sort of storyline with it. Cause like Trent, or I'm sorry. What's the other guy's name? I forgot.
Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor. He didn't he have to do something since he lost a match and like he had to be like their servant or something like that. I
have no idea, but I don't follow the product. But Chuck Taylor being in this match, like I think Trent is amazing. I think Chuck Taylor's just okay, and I love Orange Cassidy. I thought that this match was gonna be a clusterfuck, but I didn't think it was. I actually liked this for what it was. It was a little bit long Um, I mean, it was only 8 minutes, but considering the fact that most of the match was 2-on-1, and they made Miro look like a monster here. I thought Miro looked great, better than he looked in a long time.
And that's what I was gonna say about this. I was like, I wouldn't necessarily care about this, but I really liked seeing Miro there, or Rusev, whatever anybody wants to call him or anything. Miro, like I really liked seeing him. So he got a really good chance to shine in this matchup. And he hasn't really done that in AEW. He's been doing like the skits and stuff like that, but I've been waiting to see him tear it up in the ring. And I thought he did that in this one. And
Agreed.
I want to see like a match with him and just Orange Cassidy.
Yes. And I actually love the setup on this. Like, the booking on this was really good. Like, having Chuck come out and insist, even though he's already bloodied, and like Orange Cassidy's not there because they jumped him backstage, and he insists that on the referee, like, hey, start the match. I still want to fight them. That is just, that's just that pure, like, baby face cred that is great, and is like something that their booking team typically would have completely missed out on. And I thought that they nailed it here. And like, for what they were trying to accomplish, this was a great match. Now, they
Great.
rarely do this. Should this have been on Dynamite instead? Maybe. But I thought it worked well here. It was a nice change of pace. It was definitely a million times better than that shit that came right before it. So,
Yeah.
We're on a roll here because I want to go on to the next match. And I thought that this, other than the cinematic match, which we're going to get to, I thought that this was the best match in the ring on the whole pay-per-view.
I
And
agree 100%.
Hardy and Page, and I can't fucking tell you when the last time I liked a Matt Hardy match. I can't tell you. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing though. I've never really liked Matt Hardy. I'm not saying that he hasn't had good matches, but the last time I was really a fan of Matt Hardy was when he was like losing weight so he could fight Rey Mysterio for the cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school.
See, and I get that. I can see where you're coming from, but I've got to say, dude, like I was such a fan of, and I'm not that big of a Hardy fan either, but I was such a fan of what they did with the Broken Universe in Impact Wrestling. I
Yeah.
just thought a lot of the stuff was just, while a lot of it was silly, but that was kind of the point of it. Like it was like a modern day Addams Family in wrestling. Like it worked so well. And so I was a fan of that. I was not a fan of what they did with it in WWE. They just made it into way too much of a comedy. Because anytime Vince sees something like that, he's just like, "Oh, I can make this funny," and stuff like that. Like, so
And he can't.
I didn't like it, but dude, I really liked this matchup, and I kind of figured that like this was going to be pretty good because Hangman Adam Page is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what anyone says. I think he is one of their big stars, and they need to push him more,
Yep.
you know? And I'm hoping after, a lot of this Moxley stuff and some of the other things, I'm really hoping that they start to push him, because it's like, dude, you have like possibly your Austin right there.
Yeah.
And not just because he drinks alcohol, but just because like he could be that in popularity.
And the setup to the match was good. We talked about this a lot. Simple storylines. This
Yeah.
was something that I could have totally seen them do in the Attitude Era or even the Ruthless Aggression Era, where Matt Hardy's like trying to swindle a drunk Adam Page out of his money, and Page turns it around on him. This was something that I could have seen Austin or Kurt Angle or somebody doing. And they just do this whole thing, and he turns it around on Matt to where he's going to get Matt's earnings. It was a simple storyline, and it worked.
It did.
And I loved this match. Like the match was very different. I wrote in all caps here, both men trying to win the match.
Yes.
There was like no point in this where I thought they're just fucking showboating for no reason.
Yes.
they were both trying to win. They would hit an impactful move and then they would try to pin the guy. This is the best Matt Hardy match in years to me. I absolutely thought it was incredible. Page not only has the swagger of a Steve Austin, but he also has athleticism beyond a Steve Austin. I mean, he hit a nice moonsault off the top to the outside during this. Um, Matt Hardy hit a really sick crucifix powerbomb in this match. I mean, they both of these guys, they work well together. And if you're going to bring in these established top WWE guys, this is how you should use them. You don't bury them, but you put them into programs with your rising stars
Yeah.
and programs that people will like and not tune out because you overbooked it right from the start. And then you have a good blow off match like this.
Yes.
This match to me, at the time I watched it, I said, well, this is going to take the cake. Nothing's beating this match to me tonight. This is one of the best AEW matches. I mean, at the point in time where I watched this match, I was like, Cody and Dustin is easily the best match in the history of AEW to me. This would have been number 2.
Yeah, and you haven't really seen like a lot of the matches on Dynamite.
That's true. I've seen all the pay-per-views, but I've only seen maybe, I don't know, maybe the first 10, 15 episodes of Dynamite. I just don't have time to watch
Do you know
wrestling
any
every
of
week.
the ones we saw at Atlanta?
I mean, I did love that one. I love the cage match, but I think this was better.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a really good point. I mean, all of that stuff is better just because I was there live and it was just awesome to experience it live.
Yeah.
So I guess I look at it from a different perspective. But dude, no, I thought this match was awesome. I really liked it. I agree with you. I thought that this was the best match on the card up to that point. So, I was like, wow, it's gonna be really tough to follow that one. I mean, the main event's going to be violence and stuff like that. And, this was just a wrestling match,
Yeah.
but it was one that you would see back in the days but it had a modern feel to it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there was a point in this where he was working the arm to take that buckshot lariat out of the equation, selling the buckshot lariat. What's this? I don't want to get hit by this guy's finisher because the match will be over and I will lose. Oh my God! What planet is that from? What century are we in? And he countered into the side effect, which was incredible. I love. I cannot stress enough how much I love to see someone actually sell their finisher as being something that will be a game changer or a match ender. That's hence the term finisher. Cannot talk about it enough. And I swear to God, if 2 months from now I see Kenny Omega kick out of like 6 of these, I'm gonna scream. Um, because all their work will have been for naught. But yeah, amazing, 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 amazing match. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Let's move on. The face of the Revolution ladder match. What are your thoughts on this? And I popped huge for Ethan Page. I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that right off the rip.
Well, I didn't know if it was going to be him, but I figured it was going to be someone like him. It wasn't going to be like the big signing, which I'm sure we'll talk about in just a minute. But it was awesome to see him walk through that curtain and everything like that. So I was like, oh, awesome. But I really liked a lot of the talent in this matchup. I'm not going to lie. Like Scorpio Sky, dude, I love Scorpio Sky. And he's one of the most underrated people in wrestling. And it's like, dude, he has a good few runs left in him. And I think we're going to see that. I'm hoping, because when we talk about the end of this matchup, we'll probably talk about why and stuff like that. But, dude, I loved it seeing Ethan Page and stuff like that. But I did not know Cody was in this matchup. I forgot that he was in this matchup.
Wow, yeah, he was pushing it hard on social media. So,
Here's my question. I get that we're trying to get huge ratings for Dynamite, but why didn't we save that Shaq matchup for this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I think they really wanted to. So this pay per view, I think, was an experiment because there's tons of gimmick matches on it, and I think that whole like we're trying to put something that everybody wants to see on there. I think this show took it a little too far. I think it was to the detriment of the show because while I think a show should have something for everybody, at the end of the day, you do want something to feel cohesive. You don't want it to feel like here's 8 separate matches. You want a flow and a theme that ties all that together. And
I agree.
I don't know that this show felt like that. Uh, Before we go too much further into the ladder match, I do want to point out that Ariel Monroe, aka Big Swole, was in the front row, wearing a Darius Lockhart hoodie. That like people were blowing my phone up, like, "Hey, Big Swole's wearing Darius's hoodie on the show." So I messaged him and I was like, she's wearing your hoodie, and he looked, and he was like, yeah, that's her, and she had put out on Twitter that it was time for a revolution, of course, and so she had the hoodie on.
Oh, now,
It was cool.
probably was talking about the pay per view, but I mean, you know, or
Yeah, I mean,
is
she was tying it in. Um, and I messaged him and I said, well, are you gonna be on this? I was like, you can't have a revolution without the revolutionary, and he was like, well, apparently not. So that whole thing was a cool nod. Anyway, and I'm sure he thought it was awesome. Anyway, this ladder match ended up being Scorpio Sky, Cody Rhodes, Penta, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and Ethan Page. Um, I'm a huge fan of Ethan Page. I'm hoping that they use him correctly. His kind of shtick, I think it's one of those things like Orange Cassidy where what he does it really will work on the indies, but he's going to have to adjust it to work on TV, and I really hope that he can do like Orange Cassidy has done and do a great job with that because he's an incredible talent. I absolutely loved everything to do with Ethan Page when I saw him in person. I also I haven't seen a whole lot of Max Caster. I thought that as he kind of had like a rookie feel in this match, and I thought he did a good job as well.
yeah, I thought he did too, but I mean, you know, I don't know. Did you think that there was too much that was going on in this match?
Yeah, it felt like the early '90s Raw, where like you'd have a match going on in the ring, and then like Doink the Clown or somebody would run down, and then there'd be like somebody trying to do an interview at ringside, and you just it's just too much. Um, I thought there was too much going on. The whole Cody being taken to the back and coming back thing was telegraphed from a mile away because they keep doing these types of things, and they didn't even take him all the way to the back. He just kind of was up at the top of the ramp. Um, I thought that both Cody and Lance Archer in this match probably shouldn't have been in it, and I think it would have been better. Um,
Yeah,
because Jake was not well used. He was literally just sitting on the ramp for the whole time until the end. I thought maybe they could have taken another match off this card and had another Cody versus Lance Archer match, and it would have been just as good, if not better, because they work well together. Cody, I'm a huge fan of Cody Rhodes, huge fan of Cody Rhodes, but he did not do well in this match. That Cody cutter that he botches was one of the worst botches of the whole night. I mean, other than the end, it was bad.
yeah, dude, I agreed. Like, I didn't think he should have been in this match. That's why, like, I question it. It's like, dude, he could have just done the Shaq matchup and it would have been just as good on this pay per view. You would have had Cody. You would have even had an appearance by Brandy probably and everything like that. And then you could have done that match right here on the pay per view and gotten even more talk rather
Right.
than just doing it on Dynamite. And I don't know. That's why I was kind of like questioning it. Like it was just like I felt like some things needed to be shortened and some things needed to be done on this rather than they did Dynamite. And some of those needed to be on Dynamite rather than the pay per view.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
Miro and Cassidy could have been on that, and
And
they could have hyped everything up.
they do a good job with these pay-per-views of giving you things that you don't see on Dynamite typically.
Yeah,
So, I will give them credit for that.
that's
Yeah, I mean, this match, I think, with two less people in it, would have been a lot better. This match, it's like they tried to do a Money in the Bank style match, and they did not have the, I would say, fight choreography. And I know that a lot of people in the wrestling world hate that term, but let's just agree, let's just come to Jesus here and agree that in a ladder match, it's choreography. Because if
it
you
is.
don't do it that way, somebody's probably going to get hurt. Um,
Yeah,
I love Penta's Destroyer onto Cody on the ladder. That was sick. But I mean, a lot of these, it's like they had the spots, but it just did not gel well together. If you watch any of the really good WWE ladder matches, I mean, even some of the less good Money in the Bank matches, they're all put together really well, and that this lacked that shine. We've talked a little bit about, like, was wrestling better when we reviewed the '92 Rumble. We talked about, hey, was wrestling better when everything wasn't so clean and crisp? I think so, but I don't think that applies to a ladder match. Like, a ladder
no,
match needs to be this very well put together sequence. There's a formula there, and I'm not saying you can't go outside the formula. I'm not saying you can't add your own spice to it, but you need to follow a formula. And when this was good, it was good, and there were some cracks that were pretty obvious in it. I love Scorpio Sky winning it because I think he's amazing.
yes, I agree, and that's why I was praising him at the beginning because I was like, yes, that's awesome. He won, and I think he gets like a title shot for against Darby Allin.
That'd be a great match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to that. But I agree with you. Like, I just saw it. There's just too much going on now, and like I'm starting to get like overworked, kind of thing.
Before we get to the cinematic match, which I have a ton to talk about that match, let's talk about the big Hall of Fame level signing. This was built up to the point where people on the internet, and I will compare it to WandaVision here, where people were speculating that, like, the X-Men were going to show up, and like, Doctor Strange was going to be there, and like Magneto was going to come in, and like Mephisto, and like all this other madness, right? And this was similar, where like people on the internet were like, it's going to be Kurt Angle. I thought it might actually be Kurt Angle. It's going to be Brock Lesnar. It's going to be John Cena. Like, just these, CM Punk, of course, was floated around. He outright said, hey, it's not me, very quickly, because he was tired of it. I thought that Christian would have been a good choice. I am a huge Christian fan, and when his music hit, I popped. Like, I love Christian. I'm glad that he's here. Vince hates him. He's not going to use him on a regular basis. He won't be used for anything worth a damn over there. So when his name popped up on the screen, I was really, really happy about it. But I thought that this was a terrible way to introduce him, because they didn't do anything, and there was no like pomp and circumstance. Like, if it was me, I would have had like Tony Khan or somebody in the ring, red carpet, table, Tony Schiavone out there, bring him down, make a big, to do out of it, and then have him sign the contract at the table or whatever and talk for a second. But this was like, his music hit. By the way, I need Tony Khan. I know you have the money. Please reach out to Evanescence and get the real song, okay? Because it's awesome. Uh, he just came down with a clipboard and like signed it, and then looked around and then left. And I just thought that I thought they what it means for the future is great. I love Christian Cage. He's an amazing guy to have in the locker room, and he's going to be great on air. He looks fantastic. He's in amazing shape.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Christian. It has to do with presentation. It's the little things, and they did not make this feel like a big deal.
Could I go even one step further? I love your plan, because I would do the same thing. But then after he signs the contract, let him talk for a minute, and then have MJF come out
Yeah.
and disrespect him and be like, "You little punk," and then like, boom, you've got him. You've already got him in a little bit of a teaser feud and everything like that, and it's like, oh shit, don't fuck with Christian kind of thing,
Yeah, have Christian drop the Unprettier on him and leave him laying in the ring. I mean, yeah, I think that would have been great. So
Yeah,
we'll see, man. We're recording this before Dynamite comes out. Maybe Dynamite will have like him versus Cody Rhodes or somebody like that, and they'll bring him out with this awesome in ring performance. But I think Christian being there is great for them. I just don't. I think it was handled poorly.
and I can see that. I mean, but it still garnered reaction. Like everyone was excited. It seemed like when he came out. Some people are going to say, "Oh, well, that was a letdown. It probably should have been someone bigger." I was like, "Dude, Christian is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
come on." Like,
he was just at the Rumble. Like him coming out at the Rumble was like the biggest pop in the men's Rumble, other than maybe Edge actually winning. He's in amazing shape. Like he's great. When he went to TNA, I mean, it changed the landscape of TNA.
yes, it did. Like they got a little bit bigger when he was there.
So I hope that he can be used as well here, if not better than he was over there, because he can work with anybody. He can fight Kenny Omega for the title. He can face Darby Allin. Like he can do anything. Like he is incredibly versatile, and he has tons and tons and tons of knowledge. And he looks great, and he has credibility, and he has a following.
And he's
It's
entertaining as hell.
Yeah, it's a great signing. They did poorly here introducing him. That's it. That's my only complaint about it.
I agree. I agree because I would have done the exact same thing, but I'd have even had like MJF or somebody come out and disrespect him, and then him
Agreed.
like little shine in.
So let's talk about this next thing. When I heard that they were going to have Sting compete in a street fight, and it was going to be Darby Allin and Sting versus Team Taz. In this case, it's Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, both of whom I think are great. I thought that was going to be cool, but then when I heard that it was a cinematic match, oh god, I was like, you have to be shitting me. Please, not a cinematic match, because when I think AEW cinematic match, I think the tooth and nail match, and that was not good. It was
No.
the opposite of good. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in wrestling, and that's a high bar, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, real quick, because I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but did you ever see the Canadian or not the Canadian, the Stadium Stampede match?
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
None of it?
It was better. I mean, there was parts of it that were good, and it was way better than the tooth and nail match. But
Yeah.
I still, so to me, I'm very picky about these matches. I didn't even like the Cena and Fiend one. Like I thought it was okay. The only one I've ever truly loved was Undertaker and AJ.
I go back further because I like the Matt Hardy ones that they did.
Some of those were okay, but if I'm being honest with myself, the like cameos in those were the only ones I really really liked. But let me say this: this match, this street fight, is as good as AJ and Taker.
Yeah.
I loved this. Like the hairs are standing up my arm talking about it. This was amazing. Like this was just incredible. I was glued to my screen. I've never seen anything like this. And here's the thing too. Dylan Frymer, friend of the show, he's the booker for Southern Honor Wrestling. Within 10 seconds of this, I said Dylan shot this or participated in shooting it, and that he put up a photo at the end of the night. Darby Allin is very good behind the camera as well, so they had a small team that shot this. I messaged Dylan in the middle of it, and I said, "Man, did you shoot this match?" And he said, "Yeah, our team shot it, but yes." And I said, "So far, it is as good as any cinematic match that anybody anywhere has ever put out." I loved having the hoodlums, as they called them, the walk in and the way it was shot and how they started like beating on the ring, and I mean, oh man, like the drive up. I mean, all of this. This was incredible. It if you told me that one of my favorite Sting matches was going to happen in 2021, I would have been like, nah. No, there's no
I
way.
can I say this? I don't care what Sting does. He like when people ask me like who is your favorite wrestler of all time, I immediately say Sting and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those are my two favorite wrestlers of all time.
He's top 5 for me. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I hate that we never got him an Undertaker, but it is what it is. Um, and hell, you know, a lot of people said, hey, there's no way today that they could have a match that would be worth a shit. This changed my mind on that. If this same team shot a match between the two of them, can you imagine what they could do?
Oh God, dude! Like, yeah, I'll admit, dude. Well, I don't have to admit. Like, I knew I was gonna like it because I was just like, well, it's Sting. I'm going to enjoy it somewhat here. But I mean, this looked like it was straight out of a comic book,
It
which
did.
is okay when it comes to wrestling because that is what Sting is, and so is Darby Allin. Like, they're the perfect kind of crossover to both.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these guys to me, like, I feel like if they did a Sting and Undertaker match, they would do like it would be kind of like the Bane and Batman scene from the end of like Dark Knight Rises, where they each have like an army with them and like they're fighting in the middle and like everybody's fighting all around them. That would just be amazing. And like, this is kind of what that felt like to an extent. Um, all the choreography here was just so good, and it made this cinematic match in a warehouse made more sense from a psychology standpoint than half the shit we saw in the ring for the rest of the damn pay per view. What I mean, Darby Allin with that huge elbow drop was incredible. I mean, Ricky Starks and Sting, when just the two of them were in the ring, were I mean, even when they weren't, when they were like battling down through like the side of the hallway or whatever, and they were using all the different weapons, that shit was cool, man. Like I can't rave enough. And then for Sting to get the win with the Scorpion Death Drop, I was a little kid.
Oh, I was too. And you want to know something that was also crazy? Did you not see the sunset flip that Sting did? Like
Yeah,
when he did that, I went, what?
yeah,
I went, oh my God. And dude, Ricky Starks in this match shined.
yeah. He did.
Like, like he took it and ran with it, man. I mean, he looked like a star in
They
this
did.
thing.
They did an amazing job of this. Of like, if you were just a fan tuning in, right?
Mhm.
Let's say you don't even know who Darby Allin is. Let's say you don't know who Brian Cage or Ricky Starks or Darby Allin are. You tuned in to watch this pay per view because of Sting.
Yeah.
This match, all four of them were competent, and all four of them looked dangerous. Like, there's no point in the match where they shit all over someone or somebody looked like they were no threat. I can't I can't say enough good things about it. Like, you know, I will bury some shit when it is bad. But when something is good, I will rave about it. And this was so good. Um
What
it,
did
it,
you
it was
think
amazing.
of the announcers and talking over the music playing in the background?
I didn't mind it. It didn't distract me
Okay.
from it. Um I
Did
would probably I would possibly like to see it without the commentary to compare the two. Um, but I thought it was good. It didn't distract me. I really didn't notice. Um, I do want to note that there's one point where Sting's in the ring with, it may have been Brian Cage or it could have been Ricky Starks, but like, did you catch where like they kind of hinted that they were going to try to buckle bomb him, like it was a wink to the move that took him out in WWE?
uh I don't remember that part.
He
Like
reversed it, but whoever it was picked him up for the power bomb, and they started moving towards the corner, and then Sting reversed it, and I was like, "That's clever." I just thought that was a cool
Brian
nod that they put
Cage
in there.
did.
Yeah, yeah,
Brian
because
Cage.
Ricky Stark's power bombing Sting wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Um,
No, but he tried it.
yeah, I mean, I know I was loving this match, but you being such a Sting fan, I mean, what was going through your head?
Dude, so I was like you, like when I first heard it was gonna be a cinematic match, I went, oh, like I don't know how this is gonna be. But dude, when I found out that Darby Allin himself had a hand, because he's like an actual filmmaker, he went to
Yeah,
school for that, he has a degree in it, and so he really got to show that off in this. I thought, okay, it might be a little interesting. And it was like, dude, like I thoroughly enjoyed this. I would have, it would have been just as awesome to see him live in the ring do it, which is probably what I would have preferred. But they did a great job with this. And let's be honest, you kind of have to do a cinematic match in ways in this COVID era. I've kind of noticed that because it's just like, while there was a crowd there, there's still not much of it. It's not like it was at Revolution when you had that sold out crowd in Chicago. And it's like, okay, this feels like a revolution. We're watching something completely different than WWE, and there's a sold out crowd around it. But that's not the way it is right now in the COVID era. So, like, I kind of feel like you have to do a cinematic match just to kind of take people away from that a little bit,
agreed.
It's kind of like a mini camouflage a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
And
It's very useful.
when you do it this way, it works. Like when you do one just to do one and like it makes no sense, like that's when you run into trouble. And I thought this one was up there with the AJ Undertaker and the like Hardy stuff.
Agreed. Agreed. I absolutely love this. Now, the travesty is that no one is talking about it. I think everyone loved it, but no one's talking about it. And this is the point in time where I'm going to
Actually,
throw the notebook.
actually, wait a minute. Before you do that, could we talk about one more thing in that cinematic match?
Sure. No one else
The
is talking about it.
the insane dive from the top of that fucking warehouse that Darby Allin did. Like when he jumped onto Cage, he did the coffin drop basically from
Yeah,
like high above. I was like, oh my God. Like it was amazing, you know? And we hadn't talked about it yet. Like, and I just had to mention that because I was just like, oh my God, that just made everything. And then to see Sting get the pin, that just did it for me. So I just had to get that in there before we did that. All right, now continue.
no, I agree. But like I said, no one's talking about it because as amazing as it was, and if the main event had even just been okay, people would be talking about this cinematic match. If the cinematic match had been the main event, people would be talking only about that today. Um, but we are 2 days removed from the pay per view, and people are talking about one thing and one thing only, and it is going to forever scar this pay per view. And so here we are. We're going to address the big giant elephant in the room, which is the exploding barbed wire death match. Now, first off, this is a stupid fucking idea. Okay? Because if they were going to make it look good, like the ones that so this is what made it really bad, right? They sell it all night in these build-up videos, and the exploding barbed wire death matches in the build-up videos that they're showing look 100 times better than the one that they had.
Yeah.
The first time that they hit the ropes and just a little sparks flew out, it was like, what are we doing? And like they hit the ropes and you see these like little sparklers come up, and the people in the match are selling it. You're burying them. The people on commentary are selling it like these guys are dying. You're burying them. And what's bad about this, what is maybe the worst element of this, and this is all before we get to the finish. This is just in the match itself. What makes it maybe even worse before we get to all that is that this match, as a wrestling match, or at least as a gimmick match, was quite good. The actual wrestling and the spots and the way that the match went was quite good. This was the best Kenny Omega I've seen since the beginning of AEW.
Yeah. This was just my note. I was just like, I wish this was just a no ropes barbed wire match.
It would have been 100 million times better.
It
This
would have satisfied the hardcore audience. It wouldn't have looked it was gimmicky, but it would have looked serious.
yeah,
Anything like that.
it should
No,
have been a no holds barred or something like that.
I just no, I thought if they had done, because the moves that they were doing, you could have easily just done in a no ropes barbed wire match. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. The explosions are just the extra elements to
And it
it.
was so stupid. Like it was just so bad. And I don't and this is what worries me, man, about AEW is that like where's the adult in the room to tell like did they demo this? Did they set all this up and run through it? And then someone goes like not just someone, but like several people would have to go, yeah, that's fine. Right? I mean, did they just build this and not test it? Like there should be a failsafe.
Yeah.
To someone needs to be the adult and say this looks stupid and we're going to bury our talent and our announce team because there was only like two V triggers in this match. Thank God. Um they did the one winged angel or whatever. That's what he calls it, right? Um
Yeah, the one winged angel.
and Moxley kicked out of it, which is apparently a big deal. Um the match was good. I loved Moxley wrapping his arm in barbed wire and going for the clothesline, and Kenny like avoided it a bunch, and they did some good spots. And I mean, I'm not a huge Moxley fan. I'm definitely not a Kenny Omega fan at all, but I liked this match. Uh, Other than every time they hit the ropes, like it broke my suspension of disbelief because I was like, this doesn't look good. Like my roommate that doesn't even watch wrestling was watching it, and he was like, this is entertaining, but that looks stupid. And I was like, yeah. Um,
Yeah. And that's why like I just keep going back to it. I was just like, God, like if this was just a regular barbed wire match, it would have been amazing. People would have been talking about that in the cinematic match.
so let's talk about the finish and some of the aftermath. Um, because the finish is the only thing anyone's talking about on social media anywhere. And that's the bad thing is like there's so many good things on this pay-per-view. There's a lot of stuff on this pay-per-view that's better than anything they've ever done. The problem is and Bubba Ray Dudley posted this Vince McMahon quote, and so did I after the match, after the pay per view was over. It's a Vince McMahon quote. They only remember the finish. And it's so true. No one in that arena was talking about how great the show was on the car ride home. Nobody at home was talking about how great the show was. Everyone immediately ran to Twitter to shit all over this finish because they have the finish that's super predictable where the club was going to come out or whatever the fuck they're calling themselves today was going to come out and they were going to cheat, and supposedly no one ran out. I thought that maybe like Eddie Kingston and like maybe Christian would come out, but no one comes out to help them. They just leave Moxley in the ring, and then now here comes Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston's covering him to protect him from this explosion. And I was like, okay, if they're doing this 30-minute countdown and like this is going to end the feud and like maybe take Moxley out for a little while, I was like, this is going to be cool as hell. I was like, they're probably going to do something where like there's smoke and then maybe like they crawl through a trap door and then everything explodes like like Vince would do. Bro, it just listen, if you're watching this or listening to this, just look up the video online of the finish. I mean, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like this makes Roman Reigns selling chops through a bulletproof vest look like Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Like it was fucking atrocious on every single level. And then the announce team sold it like it was. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had been that announce booth, I would have probably have gotten fired. Maybe not though, because I could have saved their asses. Because if I had been in that announce booth, I would have been immediately like, "What the fuck?" Like I would have shit all over it, but they didn't. What did they do? They sold it. It was super obvious to everyone in the building and everyone at home that no one was hurt. A couple of sparks went off 8 feet from anyone, and like you literally could injure yourself more with Walmart parking lot fireworks in states where fireworks are not legal. Holy shit, it was bad. And the announce team is over there acting like a fucking Tony Stark missile hit the ring. And then afterwards, they're trying this shit now. First off, WWE has done some hokey, kooky shit, right? They have never, ever done anything so bad that they didn't want to put, that they took the event off the network and didn't allow the replay. Because it was that bad. Like AEW, even I bought the pay-per-view, even if you bought the pay-per-view, they wouldn't allow you to buy or watch the replay. Up until now, I think maybe it's either up now or it's still not up.
I have it playing in the background.
Okay, well, so for at least a day, it was not up. You could not watch it. I don't.
Main event. Like maybe they took out the ending to it.
Maybe so. Maybe they edited it. I'm not sure. I'll probably go look after this and see if they did any editing on it. Ooh, man. And now they're trying to retcon it and say, oh, well, and this was, Ambrose got on the mic after. He said, Kenny Omega's a tough son of a bitch, but he can't make an exploding ring for shit. The crowd wasn't buying it. It was a cool line. He was trying to save face. But Eddie Kingston already sold it. And the fucking announce team, and Ambrose didn't know this, but the announce team already sold it. And so for them the next day to come out and say, well, yeah, I mean, what do you expect? Kenny Omega, you saw the blueprints. It wasn't going to be good. Nah, man. No, if that was your plan, you didn't tell the announce team. They didn't know because they sold it like everyone died. And that's the thing. Like, they really should just own this and go forward. Them trying to make up some excuse and try to make it some kayfabe thing is just making them look worse than they already do, which may not even be possible at this point.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I remember I was like watching it while I was at work, and like I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Here's what's gonna happen. And then like I saw the sparks at first, and I went, what? And then like, let's like, all right. Here's what I thought of, and this hasn't been a meme, but someone should make this. Maybe I'll figure out how to do it. But like, they should take the Johnny Knoxville from Jackass 2, where he does the fart powder, and he goes, "Did it go poof? Did it go poof?" It was bad. Like, it was terrible. I was like, oh man. And okay, could there have been just a malfunction? Could it have been intended to be bigger and like there was just like some malfunctions to it?
I
I'm not trying to defend it necessarily, because like you said, I don't think they should have done it in the first place. I wish it was just a barbed wire match. I kept making that note. I was like, if you would have just done this as a barbed wire match, the people would have been satisfied just as much, and there was no need for any of that. And like, but at the same time, I'm like, could it have just been that like maybe there was a malfunction? Like, it was supposed to be bigger.
It's feasible, but here's the thing: is if that was the case, they should have just come out and said that. And like, no one's indicated that that's the case, and so I'm going to operate off of the idea that that's not the case, because if it was, they would have probably said so by now. I really think that like they just I don't know, man. Like the same people who watched the tooth and nail match and said this is good Like, if they didn't have a track record of doing shit like this, like not having somebody to say, like, maybe just everybody's too afraid to hurt everyone's feelings at AEW. I don't know. But, like, someone needs to step up and go, this is stupid. They have Arn Anderson there. They have The Big Show. They have Christian. They have Tully. They have Jake the Snake. They have Cody Rhodes. They have Dustin Rhodes. They have a lot of people. They have Chris Jericho. They have a lot of people that should be able to look at something like this and go, nah. And even Moxley should be that guy. But, like, this was just. If you couldn't deliver what you wanted to set up, which was this barbed wire death match, whatever, then I agree with you. It's like I said, don't do it. It was a
Yeah,
stupid idea to do it in the first place. And Tony
yeah,
Khan was like, well, I don't know what you guys expect. Did you guys want us to actually blow them up? There's only so much you can do. If there's only so much you can do, then don't fucking announce that you're going to have a barbed wire death match.
I agree.
Exploding barbed wire death match. Because exploding barbed wire death match to me tells me three things. There's going to be explosions, there's going to be barbed wire, and that people are going to die. If you can only give me one out of those three things, then just give me a barbed wire match.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I thought it should have just been a barbed wire match. I'll keep saying it till we end this podcast. But, like, I just really wished it was like, God, if you had only done that, because all the moves that they did on each other in the barbed wire looked incredible.
Yeah, it was
But it
good.
when but it was when the sparks came out that it was like, oh man. But I agree. Like, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to defend it, but I was just saying, like, I think they should have just owned this, like you said, like just been like, you know what, we fucked up with it. It wasn't that great, and we're not going to do it for a very long time, and then just gone on with it. Like, they were like, yeah, like, I think our announcers were trying to sell it, and I didn't know what to do at the end or something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just was like, ugh, it looked like a very cheap version of WWE right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad. Like, and anybody who just signed on, just to see this, to see Sting or whatever, and see what AEW is about, I mean, they lost that audience, man. They came off. This could not have happened any worse for them. Um, there are some great parts of this pay per view that tell me, like, hey, AEW is really coming along. But it's like, I mean, I've heard that there are different people booking different things in the back, and there's not a lot of communication between those people or a lot of consensus, and that still jives with me based on what I'm seeing on the pay per view. So ultimately, this is a disaster for them. Can they recover from it? They absolutely can.
I was
But
about to say, it's not as damaging though. Like, people are gonna have fun with it. But then they'll make some new stories, and hopefully you'll get sucked more into what they're doing and stuff like that, rather than remembering this. But yeah, it's going to be felt for a long time, but they can recover from it.
yeah, I mean, they could have Kenny Omega lose the title on Dynamite this week and just act like this shit never happened, because I'm telling you right now, man, with him at the forefront, you're saying that this guy is like the guy in your company. That this shit is not going to go well at all. I mean, his entire run to me has just been it's clusterfuck indie rific nonsense, and this just put a big stamp on that. I
Because
I
really, he only worked in Japan. Let's just be honest.
right.
He does work in Japan style. Like, all of his stuff is really, really good, but it works with that style. With American, it's like, nope, it doesn't work. Because in Japan, they have like a bunch of this crazy shit. This is where it comes from, is Japan, is an exploding barbed wire match. It was done in Japan, in FMW. And we're going to see that on Dark Side of the Ring soon. So, like,
Yeah.
so you see a bunch of that stuff. So that's why he worked over there. Just everything that they did worked. But here in America, it's like, no, like these are completely different people and stuff like that. And I haven't really liked his run either. It just like it's been underwhelming. I would like to, in a few months, see someone like I'm hoping that, okay, well, then I'm hoping that at least you've set all this up for Hangman Adam Page to beat him. And Hangman Page will become the biggest guy in the company if he does that, because everyone will love the fact that he beat Omega.
Right. I mean, I think a Hangman Page MJF feud in the future is money, 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 money. I think Hangman as the champion could really be the thing. I think Hangman Page as the champion could do something that we have not seen anybody do since WCW, and that's really carry the company and be the guy.
I agree.
Because
And think of all the matches he could have as well, like not just those, but like I think even like putting him up against someone like Lance Archer, with Jake the Snake saying this guy's bigger than you. He's the perfect type of baby face. So that's what I'm hoping, because remember, they were tag team partners. So I'm hoping that they do that, because if they do that, well, then fine. People will forget about this and they'll go on with that run.
yeah,
But
I mean, if they booked it well, there hasn't been the guy in a long time. I mean, and I'm talking about not just AEW. I'm talking about in pro wrestling.
yeah, I
Right.
agree.
The last person I consider to be the guy, and I hate to say this, it's either John Cena or it's Brock Lesnar. And I don't count Lesnar because he wasn't working a full schedule. So the last person to be the guy was John Cena.
Do you count Daniel Bryan a little bit?
No. I think Daniel Bryan had an amazing run, but he was never the guy. Like, they never. I mean, he was for one night, right? But when I'm saying the guy, I mean, like, the company is on your back for an era. You know what I'm saying? There's an Austin era, there's a Rock era, there's a Cena era, there's a Hogan era.
I agree.
There's not a Daniel Bryan era. There's a Daniel Bryan 3 months, if we're being honest, where the company was completely focused on him. And then he got hurt, and maybe if they hadn't, it would have been longer. But when I talk about like being the guy, I mean, there just isn't that. That doesn't exist in the business right now, and you can't say it's Roman. You just can't. So they could. I mean, Adam Page could be that if it's booked correctly. Based on this pay-per-view, I do not have faith, but it could still be done. If whoever booked this angle with him and Matt Hardy has any say in it, if they kept that trajectory, it could be fantastic.
It could, and I agree with that. Yeah, dude. That sucks. I'm still gonna watch Dynamite though, but I just want everyone to pump the brakes on the internet and I guess this is just people just hating to hate, but like it's like this does not mean that the company is gonna die within 6 months. Like
Right.
It's like no, like people are still gonna watch it because they have other good stuff. And it's like if we don't get that stuff, then you'll be good. You're still going to get Kenny Omega though for a good minute, but there can be other stuff that that's done as well.
Agreed entirely. Well, man, we're gonna wrap this one up. This was like I said, there were things about this pay-per-view I loved, things I hated, and I agree with you. I hate that maybe the internet is completely overlooking the amazing Sting match. If I was these guys, if I was AEW, I'd put that match out for free.
Yeah.
To change the narrative. So
yeah.
Plus, man, I felt so terrible for Dylan and that team that shot that match because of how just so good it was. But then, I knew at the end of the night everyone is going to be talking about. I mean, it like I watched it live and then I got on my phone and immediately everyone was shitting on it. I mean, it just
it was.
It blows my mind in the worst ways.
I knew that they would because, like, you know, this was like a WCW uncensored 95 moment.
Yeah, it's rough.
Like it's pretty bad, and I agree. Like, it's like the finger poke of doom. You know, it's just like it's it sucks. But you know, whatever. I mean, people will make fun of it for a good few months, and then you know, eventually, hopefully, people will move on. Who knows?
Yeah,
But I thought if anything, you know, people owe it to themselves to go watch the Matt Hardy, Hangman Page, and the cinematic match,
agreed.
if anything.
Agreed 100%.
And then just don't watch anything else.
Yeah, those matches were absolutely stellar. And they're the only things on this pay-per-view that I think are hugely amazing. And it's like I've said before, man, you know, when you deal with AEW, you're rolling the dice, right? With WWE, you're going to get you're going to get the same thing, right? You're going to get something that's okay, and if you luck up, you might get something that's a bit better than okay. But with AEW, man, it's roll of the dice. You might get something amazing. You might get something that's god awful trash. And this pay per view delivered both of those things. So I had a good time reviewing it. I couldn't wait to get this recorded and posted. We're going to get it up really quickly. Yeah, man, I had a good time talking about it and going over it. And we'll continue to do this. The next AEW pay per view that comes out, we're going to review that one. And also coming up, we've got our top 5 WrestleManias. We're going to air that WrestleMania weekend. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, man, dude, I'm looking forward to what we got coming. And then, you know, we're getting ready for Dark Side of the Ring soon.
That's it. We'll talk about this a little bit on our next episode too. But they have confirmed now that Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, and Stone Cold are all going to be on the Brian Pillman episode. So I am hyped. I mean, Jim Ross apparently recorded for a lot of stuff. Apparently, according to Jim Ross, they're actually talking about the plane ride back from London, I think it was. The infamous plane ride where, like, flight attendants ended up suing WWE and they settled out of court and all kinds of madness happened.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because at least we're like not focusing on death all of these episodes.
right. Yeah, most of them don't actually feature someone dying, at least not physically.
Well, the Pillman one, obviously, and
true.
I believe that they are doing China. Like
They haven't said it yet though. So
well, I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that they did, but I'm looking forward to the XPW and the FMW though as well, and the others are going to be awesome as well.
Well, China was my number one pick. She was at the top of my list, but I have not seen any confirmation 100%. The flight episode actually isn't confirmed, but I mean Jim Ross said he interviewed for it, so like that's as confirmed as I need.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, yeah, Caleb, thanks for joining me for this. It's been a blast.
All right.
And a little bit more than a blast. It's been an involved review.